Welcome to the Josefa Salinas Show. I'm Josefa Salinas. With me today is a dear friend, but someone who has been gracing the silver screens in Hollywood since 1983. You've seen her in movies like Losing It. Believe it or not, that was one of Tom Cruise's first movies, and she's got a story to tell about Tom. Also, let's see, Beverly Hills 90210, My Family, Taxi Dancer, Selena, oh, a beloved movie, and most recently, The Purge, Anarchy. And there's a very interesting story about how she got into that movie. Bel Hernandez, thanks for being with us today.
I'm so excited to be here with you, Josefa.
I am so happy to have you here. It's really an honor to have you with me because I have so much respect for everything that you do, because beyond being an actress, oh my gosh, you're a producer. You've got your own talk show, television show, magazine, all kinds of things. But let's start out with the movies. How did you get into acting? Did you grow up in California? Tell me a little bit about Belle, the actress.
Well, I grew up in California. I grew up in Boyle Heights, just south of, east of downtown LA. I wasn't going for being an actress. I found Mexican folk dancing in high school, and I thought, this is for me. I'm a Mexican. I need to dance this. So that became my passion for a few years, and the director of our dance company, Miguel Delgado, he was the assistant choreographer for Zoot Suit. The Luis Valdez show, the one that was in theater like in 1978, 79. And they were going to New York, so they needed another dancer. And that's how I got in, as a dancer. So I was doing the play, Zoot Suit, and it was amazing. I thought, wow, this is great. This acting business is great, because every night a standing ovation. We'd have John Travolta in the audience, Natalie Wood in the audience, all of these celebrities, and they loved the play. So I thought, I think I'm going to go into acting because you get all of this stuff. Well, that was a very unique play.
Yeah, it was.
After that, nobody would, I'm like, what happened? Where's all the standing ovations? But that's how I got into acting. Then I started taking classes, started doing commercials, and then that's how I ended up being an actress.
So this movie, Losing It, tell us the story about Tom Cruise, because he was pretty young in this movie.
Right. That was before he did Taps. And he was a travieso. He was always playing jokes, and was getting into trouble with the director. You know how long it takes to set up a shot,
Yes, we do.
Yes. And so he had this one shot that they had set up where this car, it's a taxi. And actually my husband was the taxi driver, but they're going in front of the camera, so the camera's here, and then they're going right in front. And he mooned everybody. And, he's just a kid playing around, but that's cost a lot of money. So he was travieso. He was also a Casanova. All the pretty women, he was there. So this was before Taps. This was before I even knew he was going to be a big star, and before a lot of people knew he was going to be a big star. I think insiders knew because they had done Taps and all that. But, yeah, I got to work with him.
This is pre-Top Gun as well.
Pre-Top Gun, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Tom the Travieso.
Tom the Travieso, yes.
Talk to me about Beverly Hills 90210.
Wow. Okay, so that was the project that finally I said, okay, I'm not acting anymore, because I'd had my little girl, and she was like about 6 months, 7 months, and I was still breastfeeding, and I was on set, and they had to stop for the breast because the milk was coming out. So that was funny. But I was playing the teacher. And the whole show, that I was in the pilot, so it was a possible recurring, and I played the teacher, and I was going to be a recurring role. But then they decided that they were just going to focus on the kids, which turned out to be a good move because it went for so long. But it was about that time that I started getting very involved in putting together a magazine called Latin Heat, and it's a trade publication, and it was to highlight all the Latinos that were in Hollywood. That network said they didn't exist. So at that point, after that, I was already working into that, and basically that was my last film project, TV project. It was a TV project, and I went and started doing the magazine, and then at that point, my agent and some casting directors would say, Belle, why did you leave? My agent wouldn't let me leave because there was more stuff happening. And I'm like, why? They go, you're so good. I go, you should have told me that. Because, as actors, we're very insecure. And they're going like, but you were so good. I go, well, you didn't tell me that, so I'm already off to something else. So that's when I stopped acting, really going out actively. And I just started doing the publication.
Well, I remember 1997 in Selena.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, I think, when general market, I think, really took notice of Latino actors, the sound, her music.
Mm-hmm.
She was just getting ready to really cross over,
Right,
they were all saying.
right.
And you played Dolores Quintanilla.
Right.
Talk to me a little bit about that story and what that was like filming her story.
Well, actually, because I told you I wasn't acting anymore, but what happened when I started doing the publication is I would meet all these directors and we would write about them and we would have conferences and they would be on our panel. So Gregory Nava, the director, he said, "Okay, you're gonna have this role." So after I leave acting, they give me the roles, but it was a role that was the part of the Quintanilla family, and I also helped cast Selena because they were doing all those big like casting,
The
notices,
casting calls? Mm-hmm.
the casting calls, and there were like thousands and thousands of girls, and they did it at Union Station. So I was actually also part of the casting, but then he said, "Oh, I'm going to give you this role." So it was great. They even flew me out to Texas because that's where they shot. But it's just an amazing movie to have been part of. And that
really
was
is.
Jennifer Lopez's very, very first movie.
Oh, yeah.
That she got like $1 million for, the first Latina to ever get $1 million for a role. And yeah, it was awesome to see her like take off from that movie. So there's been a lot of exciting things that have happened through the films that I've been part of.
And how fun for you that you've been around when people have taken those first, like it's their first movie, like
Right.
Jennifer, Tom
Right.
Cruise, and you've been also in a movie that The Purge. Lots of people love the movie, but I know that there's a story
Yes.
about how you actually got into The Purge. But before we do that, why don't you give some social media where people can reach you?
Okay.
Let's talk about where they can find info on Latin Heat, because that's a place where people can go for all kinds of information.
Right. You can go to latinheat.com. That's our trade publication. We printed for 13 years, but now it's online. And then my Instagram is Bel's Coolest, BELS Cool IST, and also on Instagram, Latin Heat Mag. So you can get all the info there.
All right, we're going to be back with Bel, and she's going to talk to us all about The Purge, being a wife and a mother in Hollywood, and a whole lot more. Hollywood's Latina godmother is staying with us.
I'll be right back.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.